Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 261 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie183 and I return this week with, I guess, our own kind of legal episode of Knowing Wheel. Knowing court cases? I don't really know how we're going to word this one. Jamie183 though, first of all, how are we doing, sir?
Doing well, yes. I'll call you Matthew12 today since we're going by full internet name.
Of course.
For whatever reason. Yeah, had a good weekend. I was a bit boring with no football and no F1, apart from obviously Tranmere Rovers versus Barnet, which was good fun. Yeah, for a Barnet fan anyway. But
What was the
yeah,
score?
2-0 away win. Happy
That's good
days.
going. That's good
Yeah,
going.
up
I
to
mean, you also
seventh.
had the darts on last night. That was quite interesting from the bit I watched.
Didn't watch the dots.
Oh, Luke Little. I felt a little bit for Luke Humphries because he just wiped the floor with him, but it was kind of insane. So there clearly was sport on. You know, all this people complaining. Oh, it's the international break. I can't go one weekend without watching the football. Where?
Well, I actually did I was there at Tranmere.
You still
so,
managed to watch football, yeah? Exactly.
Did watch football this week.
Exactly. So still complaining the international break, and he's still able to watch football.
Exactly.
Crazy.
I need to sort myself out. I apologise.
You do. You absolutely do. This is knowing wheel, not knowing ball. But I'm sure
Yeah.
when the podcast is huge, we'll have a spin-off show where you can ramble about FPL and
Where I
stuff
can
like
bin
that.
you off and find someone else to talk with.
Exactly. So yeah, you'd much rather talk to in the future. But yeah, today though we're hoping to do 2 episodes this week, aren't we, Jamie? This isn't gonna be a US Grand Prix preview show. That one will hopefully go out on Friday. Because there's a lot. I mean, it's always the case with Formula 1, isn't it? There's often more to talk about off track than there is on track. And this week, of course, is the massive ongoing case surrounding Zach Brown, Alex Palau, and it kind of seems to be a black hole of bringing more and more stuff into it at the moment,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Yeah, and this is the first hearing of. I think it's the first one anyway. It's definitely a hearing of the McLaren versus Palau case, which they announced they were going to do maybe 8 months ago, towards the start
Longer
of the year.
than that, I'm pretty certain.
Was
yeah.
it longer than that?
Yeah, I think so.
And it all came about because Palau for 2024 IndyCar, basically didn't fulfill his McLaren contract, which he says was for good reason, and he was legally allowed to break that contract. McLaren disagree and say that he screwed them over, he wasn't allowed to leave, and he broke the contract, and therefore they're coming after him for money, basically. To
Lost revenue, isn't it? I believe is the correct term.
opportunity cost, basically, of lost revenue, lost sponsorship, lost prize money, possibly. And Palau isn't having it, and it's been quite a juicy court case so far in terms of his defence last week. Brought up a lot of stuff, which is very relevant to the Formula One world.
Yes, yeah, and I mean, it does date back quite a few years now. So, I mean, Jamie, I don't know, do you ever watch any IndyCar out of interest? Because
No.
I do tend to keep up with it pretty well. This all really stems back to, I believe, the end of 2022. So obviously McLaren they'd won one race in the last decade, hadn't they? Obviously that famous win for Daniel Ricciardo in 2021. Obviously Ricciardo was being kicked to the curb, and obviously McLaren, because of the budget cap in Formula 1, I remember originally when this was talked about, do you remember when the budget cap was first meant to be coming in, and people were like, we could genuinely see Ferrari competing at the Indy 500, because it was something they genuinely spoke about, because obviously they'd have all this money that they can no longer spend in Formula 1. It wasn't Ferrari, though, that started to do that. It was McLaren. Obviously, first of all, tested the waters with Fernando Alonso. That was a huge failure, which I'm sure, obviously, Fernando still wishes to forget. And then, obviously, as we get to the end of 2022, obviously, McLaren now, I believe, already have an IndyCar program going, and they're looking, obviously, to try and really pad out their lineup, ready for 2023. So, obviously, with Ricciardo being kicked to the curb in Formula 1, Alex Palau, for those of you that don't know, is the dominant IndyCar driver right now. This year, he won, I think, out of like the 14 races, he won 9 of them, or something ridiculous. Locked up the championship with weeks to go. You know, was quite clearly the favourite going in and just dominated again. He's now a 4-time IndyCar champion. He's basically on a similar run to what Verstappen's done in the last few years, to try and put it in F1 terms.
He's a better Colton Herta, who is on the
Exactly.
F2 grid next year.
Yes. So obviously McLaren thought, we fancy a taste of that. And of course, obviously, McLaren coming from F1 world where there is a ridiculous amount of money. IndyCar is not a cheap series by any stretch, but it is much, much cheaper than Formula 1. Obviously, they've got the mic to basically buy whoever they want in. So obviously, they basically went to Alex Palau, of course, come race for us. We'll get you an F1 gig at some point. Or that's what Alex Palau is claiming was said to him. Yeah. Because, of course, he actually, hilariously, Jamie, I don't know if you've looked into this, he actually had a staggeringly mediocre European junior career. Like, you look at it and never expect him to be a dominant driver anywhere. I think he came, 15th in Formula 3.
That kind of thing does weirdly happen, doesn't it? Where people...
It's quite bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah. Just don't do that well in the European lower series. They find a team where they really gel. Yeah. Or a series where they really gel, and they just run with it.
Exactly. So, yeah, kind of this was for him, because I think after GP3, he basically came to the conclusion, of course, that his F1 dream was dead. And obviously McLaren then, according to Palau, obviously basically promised him that. Obviously didn't sign with them. Signed a contract with them at the end of 2022, ready for 2024. And then, of course, obviously went on to win his second championship with Chip Ganassi in 2023. And basically turned around and went, either get an F1 drive now or I'm walking. Of course, McLaren at this point already had Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris on the books ready to go. And this is kind of where this fascinating tie-in comes in, obviously, for Zak Brown, because apparently he has now allegedly said that he never wanted Oscar Piastri on McLaren's F1 team in the first place, which is a bold choice of words, especially considering everything that's going on and all the call-outs of McLaren bias at the last weekend at Singapore.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing that is interesting is that obviously this all ties in with when Piastri signed for McLaren on the F1 side of things. That was all quite rushed, and it felt like a bit of a last-minute thing when he obviously Alpine announced him as a driver, and he did the famous tweet where he said, "I'm not driving for Alpine. There'll be a different team."
One of the greatest tweets of all time.
Yeah, and very quickly got announced as McLaren's new driver for 2023 in F1. So I think Palau was certainly what he is claiming is that Ricciardo was going to get kept on for 23, which he had a contract for. They broke the contract, didn't they?
They gave him out a year early.
And then Palau was going to be phased in with free practice sessions in 2023 and then drive the car in 24. So then when they signed Piastri, it was obviously a shock to him. He found out via Twitter rather than his own team. He's part of the McLaren family, and they didn't think to tell him that they signed a new driver. And yeah, obviously that changes things. And he was given a bit of a false promise that he and Piastri would be assessed through the 2023 season. Obviously, that gives Piastri a massive upper hand because he's actually driving the car. And then, obviously, Piastri does fine in 23 and keeps the seat.
He wins a sprint race in 23.
He does win a sprint race, bunch of podiums. Obviously, a rookie compared to his teammate. But yeah, for a rookie season, it was great. And Palau had no chance of beating or showing enough to be given the seat for 24. Which was that point, he then quit the McLaren IndyCar team and went back to Chip Ganassi and won another.
He never was actually part of the McLaren IndyCar team as such. He was just part of the McLaren family. Yeah,
exactly. And what McLaren are coming after him for is obviously lost sponsorship. Is it NTT, you said?
NTT, yeah, which are a huge, basically like a mobile phone and Wi-Fi provider out in the US. They're an absolutely huge conglomerate. Basically had... I don't know whether they'd signed a contract with Palau personally, but it basically obviously said, we've got this much money that we're going to put into IndyCar next year. I mean, the IndyCar series is sponsored by NTT as well, or has been in the past. And basically, obviously, as a complete guess, they might have gone, we've got $25 million, we are putting that on Alex Palau's car. Whoever's got him gets that money, effectively.
Exactly. So McLaren are claiming damages for lost profits in that regard, and also the missed success by not having the champion in their own car, which is,
even though he quite probably wouldn't have won the championship in the McLaren car anyway.
Exactly. The McLaren in 2024, which it would have been for, was absolutely awful, and they had a bunch of good drivers, and that's what Palau said. You had Pato O'Ward, who's pretty reasonable, Teo Porcher, F2 champion, Callum Ilott, who was a couple of wins away from an F2 championship, putting he's being quite humble in the way that, like, you had a bunch of good drivers anyway. Even when they put Alonso in the McLaren for the Indy 500 2022, I want to say.
Oh no, this was earlier than that. This was
I guess he was in
2019,
F1 by 22, wasn't he?
Yeah. 2018, I think. In the end, he did his ill-fated, obviously, because he did the one the year before that was a McLaren's backed car that wasn't actually McLaren ran. But I think it was 2019, wasn't it?
Where he didn't qualify.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Palau's saying, if you put Fernando Alonso in your McLaren IndyCar and it didn't qualify for the Indy 500 against a rookie on bump day or whatever, I don't watch IndyCar, but the fact that Alonso couldn't qualify in this car, there's no way that Palau would have won the championship. He may have done marginally better than the drivers they did have, but not by enough to warrant missed opportunity savings that McLaren claimed they would have got. So
no, exactly, and it does kind of come across a little bit of, I guess especially obviously with all the stuff now that's coming out that allegedly Zach Brown has been deleting WhatsApp messages despite the fact the courts told him not to, which again I think is a great claim for obviously WhatsApp's privacy and security. All their claims obviously for
Hashtag
that.
ad.
Exactly, yeah, done very, very well. If WhatsApp want to sponsor the show, absolutely go for it. We'll create a group chat where we'll just go, Jamie and I are recording today.
And WhatsApp can just give it a little react or something.
Exactly, yeah. And you can put notes in that you want us to talk about. It'd be glorious. But yeah, so obviously apparently all this stuff's obviously going on around with that. Obviously, it could not have come at a worse time, though. After obviously Singapore, I think we both agree, didn't we? What Lando did wasn't actually completely unfair in of itself, but it probably does go against papaya rules, which McLaren have already given themselves a whole big problem with as well. And I don't have any reason to believe that Palau's got any bad blood with Oscar Piastri. I don't think he would stir the pot to try and get under Oscar's skin or anything. Because no. I can't imagine they've ever really spoke to each other or would have any problems with each other. They're both kind of in this racing world. They both kind of know how the business works. And obviously are both seeing a huge amount of success in their own series as well. For all we know, they might stop and have a drink together come the end of the year. If Oscar wins the
McLaren downfall.
Exactly, yeah. But of course, obviously, especially with everything after Singapore last weekend, if you're Oscar Piastri now already feeling a bit annoyed, you're going to be really, really annoyed now if this is true. And obviously this is where now Mark Webber comes in. Multi-21 Seb, everything like that. Not bad for a number 2 driver. Because apparently now Piastri, and we quote, should start learning Italian. Is he going to be making a move to VCARB in the future, Jamie 183?
I would be a little bit surprised if it's VCARB, to be perfectly
Italian
honest.
Team.
But yeah, it's an interesting claim from Mark Webber, who does. He's another
Jamie,
one who loves stirring the pot.
Say the line.
I can't. Not bad for number 2 driver. Cheers.
No, not that one. Just say Mark Webber.
Mark Webber, that one.
Thank you. That's how you have to say it every time.
Apologies. There we go. What I would love is Oscar Piastri to win the World Championship this year.
Yeah.
And drop the not bad for a number 2 driver
on the radio. Incredible. If it gets to Abu Dhabi where he wraps it up beforehand, I would pay so much money to hear him say that. Yeah.
And this is all kind of obviously. Does Piastri have some Italian blood, or I made that up? It feels like he's got a bit of blood everywhere, to be honest. It definitely sounds slightly Italian surname, doesn't it?
I guess if you're going to stereotype.
Well, it's just words. I mean, yeah, I think
he does have Italian heritage through his father.
There we go.
He also has Yugoslavian, Chinese, Scottish. I mean, Oscar Piastri is just a pot of culture, isn't he? Chinese, Yugoslavian, Scottish, and Irish heritage.
Yeah, wow.
Incredible.
And he's been adopted by Charles Leclerc. And
he has been adopted by... Because I think Charles Leclerc has also got some Italian blood in him.
Probably. But this would basically be for 2027 at this point.
Yes,
so
as far as we know.
And it is all conjecture. There's absolutely no hard evidence at all. But the fact that Mark Webber, who is Piastri's manager, says, is hinting at the fact he won't be at McLaren forever if it carries on like it's going. And Ferrari would have interest to put him next to Charles Leclerc, you'd imagine, for Lewis Hamilton's incoming retirement in a couple of years, which is very sad news for Matt.
It kind of feels, I think, as well, isn't it? Because I think the plan originally was obviously give Ollie Behrman a couple of years at Haas, But although I wouldn't say Ollie's done badly, he hasn't kind of really set the world alight like I think people were hoping. Probably not helped by the fact that the Haas car, I would argue, this year has been less competitive than it was last year overall.
Just got worse drivers in it, I think. It's really weird.
It isn't as good as it was. Its highs aren't as high as they were last year, though. I think is probably the big argument to make, isn't it? But anyway, of course, okay it basically just means, that Ollie Behrman, I don't think Ferrari feel is ready to go in alongside Charles Leclerc when they, in an ideal plan, we're hoping for him to be Lewis's replacement.
Yeah, although it's his first season, he's been 18. He's done okay. It's like pretty level on qualifying against Esteban Ocon,
he's done very well against Ocon.
Yeah, and by the end of next season, he's got another year under his belt.
Hopefully so.
Yeah. Maybe, but yeah. Back on Piastri, obviously, if you are Oscar Piastri in this situation, what you've got is you've always had this kind of intuition or this feeling that Zak Brown doesn't like you, probably, who is CEO of McLaren, who is the kind of face in the media of the team you drive for in Formula One. And Zak Brown basically said he wasn't my choice. Or Palau certainly has claimed that Zak Brown said he wasn't my choice. And instead it was Andreas Seidel, who was team principal at the time at McLaren in 2022.
Yeah, obviously 2022 kind of quietly disappeared, didn't he? To go back to, I think it was VW Group and obviously all their
he's now at Audi
projects.
Yeah. Well, no, he was at Audi and he's now gone from there. Is it?
So kind of just disappeared out of the woodwork. That being said, though, I do still personally feel that Andreas Stella does like Oscar. I think he likes the fact he is kind of just an out-and-out racer. You don't have to need all the frills and everything else around it.
Yeah, but you do get the feeling that Norris is McLaren's guy in the same way that Leclerc is Ferrari's guy and that kind of thing. Or Verstappen at Red Bull, for instance.
Verstappen is Red Bull at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. But if you're Piastri, you would be thinking about how am I going to get out of this situation in a few years' time. Obviously, hopefully wrap up this title for his sake. Hopefully have a go at next year's title. And then maybe do a Fernando Alonso and leave when you've won 2 back-to-back world championships.
Although in Piastri's case, by a rookie?
He'll be hoping he doesn't go 20 years without another race, another world championship.
Another championship, yeah. I think, like we said before, it is kind of that big thing, isn't it, this year? Or both McLaren drivers are well aware this is their one chance, potentially.
Well, it could be.
To win a world championship. But of course, obviously, if you're in Oscar's boat as well, if McLaren end up stinking up the field next year, if they're nowhere near as competitive, of course, if you've got that option to keep doors open for yourself, if you've got good talks with Ferrari going on, and for because as much as we like to clown on Ferrari, very rarely, or even when they don't end up being miles away from the sharp end for very long. Exactly. It's kind of almost impressive, isn't it, with Ferrari, how often they can be so near the top but never seem to be at the top or
they must
stay
have
at the top.
What if they had 17 Constructors' Championships, I want to say? Something like that?
15, I think. 14 or 15. Yeah.
They must have finished second and third about 20 other times.
Probably.
They are basically always in the top 3 in Formula 1. It is crazy.
It is still that hilarious stat, isn't it? I don't know if you saw this a few weeks ago. That since 2009, Brawn GP and Ferrari have led the Constructors' Championship for the same amount of race weekends. Brawn GP only competed in one of those seasons.
That is good stuff. And they basically won it from start to finish.
They've led the entire championship, yeah.
But still, that is amusing. Yeah, we'll see. But I don't see McLaren dropping off that badly in 26, to be honest. I think you're looking at the Mercedes-powered teams and thinking they'll probably do quite well. So they might not be winning it, but it's just a toss-up, isn't it? Because
no one knows, clearly, do they?
Yeah.
This is the thing. The thing.
Yeah. But we shall see. But it's all kicking off, and I don't think it's very helpful for McLaren as an organisation. It's probably taken the shine off their Constructors' Championship a little bit for Zak Brown.
Well, I think Oscar, their championship leader, not celebrating with them on the podium. I know, obviously, they've explained why that happened. And I don't think Oscar wanted to be there anyway, but that probably also didn't look great and maybe took a bit of a shine off it. I mean, I just hope the end of this season is cinema, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I know you hope that it's cinema and Max Verstappen wins it, is what you're hoping.
I will be the smuggest person in all of Manchester and probably the UK if Max Verstappen somehow wins this championship.
You heard it here first, ladies and gents. You heard it here first. I mean, yeah, it is just one of those things, isn't it? That is, such a mess, and kind of always that thing as well, isn't it? It feels like, McLaren's meteoric rise back through. I don't know if you watched the video that F1 posted. It was quite a good one a few days ago.
Yeah.
Obviously about, ninth in 2015, ninth in 2017, and kind of this huge recovery that they've had, obviously, since then. It is very impressive, especially, obviously, not being a works team. Their 10th Constructors' Championship as well is obviously very, very good going. But kind of, we spoke about it with Red Bull earlier on this year. Is it kind of is there always the potential still of, obviously, this house of cards could really collapse around Zach Brown? Because obviously, despite he's deleting WhatsApp messages, everything like that, it's not a criminal case or anything like that. I've seen a couple of people going, "Oh, he's deleting evidence. He could go to prison." They're going, "No, this isn't a criminal case. That's not how it works."
No chance.
If it was a criminal case, I'd hope he wouldn't be that stupid. Because obviously then they would just throw the book at him.
Exactly.
Knowing Law, our new podcast.
Yeah, I watched Suits. That was as good as it got for me.
Have you watched Suits, have you?
Yeah, Suits is fantastic.
Is it that good, is it?
Yeah, genuinely.
I'm halfway through season 4, and I'm kind of like, this is alright.
Defo watched the end of 7. That's what I'd say.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, if you're halfway through 4, you got to keep watching now. It's good. It's good stuff.
Fair enough.
And it will teach you a lot about. Well, it won't. You can use law terms without knowing what they mean. Because
as far as I gather, there's just a huge amount of illegal stuff that keeps going on, and then no one faces repercussion.
Well, exactly. That's it. That's TV for you.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What do you think the outcome of this is all going to be for this case? As we've clearly established, both of us know a lot about UK law. It's not even UK, is it? Is it?
It's under American law, I believe.
Oh, I know even less about American law then.
Well, you've watched Suits, apparently. You know everything about American law. I found out as well before I started watching it. Apparently, most of Suits is filmed in Toronto, isn't it? It's not even filmed in New York.
Yeah, no. Episode 1, the pilot was in New York. The rest of it's in Toronto.
Hilarious. I think, honestly, this whole case is going to be a whole lot of mudslinging. I think nothing will really come out of it, and then McLaren will therefore probably be the losers. Because obviously, especially if more stuff comes out about Zach Brown, it's not a great image. Especially, obviously, I mean, I guess they're sponsored by Google, who love hiding information anyway. So there's always that, and selling on your data and all this. And the other.
Yeah,
he says
I reckon
posting this to YouTube.
Exactly. Don't kill us, please, Google overlords. I feel like McLaren will legally win, but the outcome
in
will
what
be
way? How do you think they're legally going to win? Did they going to get money out of Palau?
No, they won't get money out of Palau, but Palau, I think they'll prove that Palau wasn't promised the seat officially. Maybe it was a verbal.
But does that mean they win?
Well, it means Palau's not got a case. So they wouldn't lose any money, McLaren, if they prove that. But regardless, they would lose a lot of public image and goodwill. So I think McLaren won't come out of this looking like winners, but legally, I think they'll win the case.
Yeah. I mean, again, it just doesn't help, of course. I know, obviously, again, you don't really keep up with IndyCar, but the whole disaster they've had, obviously, about that second seat, especially throughout last year as well, with David Malukas.
They're still going in IndyCar.
McLaren, yeah, they're still there. Obviously, with David Malukas coming in, breaking his wrist, not being there anymore, Teo Porcher coming in and immediately getting kicked to the curb. All this, that, and the other that has been such a disaster for them. Of course, the other big thing might well be that people suddenly don't want to drive for McLaren's IndyCar team anymore. Going, why would I want that risk if this is the way they treat their drivers?
Especially if they promise you a Formula 1 seat in the future.
Exactly. We've talked a lot about IndyCar today, Jamie. Would you like your quiz?
Oh, if it's on IndyCar, there's not a chance I'm doing anything. Okay. Go ahead.
Jamie 183, you will have, I'm going to give you 90 seconds today.
Gosh, I already know it's going to be horrendous.
Yep, I know it is as well. There are 13 F1 drivers that have won the Indy 500. You have 90 seconds.
Wait, including the 50s ones?
No, sorry, not including the 50s. So your goal today... Oh, no, I think actually, sorry, it does include the 1950s, but they had to have raced somewhere else in F1 as well.
It was probably Sebring, or it's somewhere else in America, wasn't it? So there's not a chance I'm getting any of them.
Well, they would have had to win at Indy and obviously, competing elsewhere as well. But yeah, there's 13 answers, F1 drivers that also won the Indy 500. Your time starts now.
Marcus Ericsson.
Correct.
That might be me out.
Surely not.
Not Fernando Alonso.
Not Fernando Alonso. That's good. Yeah, there's 8 billion
Oh,
people
Triple
on this
Crown,
planet.
of course. Not Jim Clark. Jim Clark? No.
Jim Clark
Who
is
was-
correct, I'll give you
yeah,
that,
who
even
else
though
was-
you're
who-
not convinced.
Who was the other Triple Crown winner? It was just Jim Clark, wasn't it? You can't tell me that. Bill Vukovic.
No.
Um, it's horrendous stuff.
You got 53 seconds.
Americans. I'm sure there's been more. Takuma Sato.
He's not American, but correct.
No, I know he's not. He's correct. Yeah.
Americans and immediately names Takuma Sato.
Trying to think people who are kind of mid in F1 who just went to US and just cooked. Grosjean got a bit close, didn't he? I don't think he won it.
I don't believe. No, he only ever competed in one Indy 500. 30 seconds.
Stingray Rob.
Oh dear Lord, no. When is Stingray Rob raced in F1?
Elio De Angelis.
No.
De Cesaris.
No. 15 seconds.
Reutemann.
No.
Regazzoni.
No.
James Hunt.
No. When did he do the Indy 500?
I don't know.
Man?
I don't know anything. I don't know who did Indy 500.
3, 2, 1, and your time is up. That is.
Was there any more that I should have got?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just going to also put out there that every person that watches Knowing Wheel now hates you.
Only American people.
No, for what you said halfway through, every motorsport fan in the world hates you.
Who have I forgotten about the Triple Crown?
No, well, that is exactly the problem. Jim Clark never won the Triple Crown. He never won Le Mans.
No, I didn't think he did, but someone else did that Alonso was trying to replicate, and I can't remember who.
Yes, and that, I think, is what will have upset everybody.
Okay.
The original Mr. Monaco.
Graham Hunt. Graham
Hunt!
Graham-
Oh, no! Jamie, we
Right,
can't
Hill,
call
Graham
this
Hill.
podcast Knowing
Graham
Wheel
Hill, Graham
anymore.
It's early morning. I haven't woken up yet.
Graham Hunt. Oh, man.
I bet there is a guy called Graham Hunt out there.
I'm
Maybe
sure
he
there
won-
is, but he didn't win
maybe-
Motorsport's Triple Crown.
Oh dear.
You got 3. You
got
obviously
more than
got Jim
3.
Clark. No, you got 3. You got Jim Clark, you got Takuma Sato, you got Marcus Ericsson. That was it.
Okay.
There was obviously you should have got Graham Hill. Didn't.
Yeah.
I thought you'd get Mario Andretti,
Possibly. Yeah.
a very famous American who raced in Formula One
Yeah.
as well.
Fair enough.
Roger Ward won it in the early 60s. Not surprised he didn't get
No
him. In
chance,
fact,
yeah.
first time around, I actually wrote his Roger Penske because even I'm a bit of a moron.
Great.
Mark Donoghue, definitely
Nope.
would have heard of him,
Nope.
but I'm not convinced you would have got him. Danny Sullivan, again, obviously didn't race that much in Formula One, was far more known for his American adventures. A few more that you definitely should have got. Emerson Fittipaldi.
Oh, I was going to get to him when I was railing off like mid-70s drivers.
Yep. Jacques Villeneuve.
Yeah, probably could have got that
Obviously
as well.
won in the... and obviously Eddie Cheever as well. Not surprised you didn't get him as much. And then, of course, Juan Pablo Montoya won Indy on debut. And has technically come the closest of anybody else to win the Triple Crown, because he did win his class at Le Mans and obviously the Monaco Grand Prix.
Didn't Sato win his class at Le Mans as well?
I
guess he never
Sato,
won
I
Monaco
don't
Grand Prix.
think has ever really competed in Le Mans at that kind of higher level. And the last one that you probably could have got, you said you were trying to name Americans, modern time American Formula One driver?
Alex Rossi.
Correct. Yeah, won in
Oh, I didn't know he won it. Fair enough.
Yeah, no, I believe he won it 2016. I think it was his first year. It was 2016 or 2017. No, 2016. Yeah, literally just the year after he left F1, immediately won Indy, which is very good going as well. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you know it. So Alexander Rossi and Juan Pablo Montoya both won their first ever Indy 500s as well.
Yeah, we're going to have to rename this to just knowing the Pirelli P0 F1 wheel, not any other kind of wheel.
In your case, absolutely. Absolutely. That was arguably one of the worst quizzes I think you've ever done.
Hopefully it was
Graham Hunt.
entertaining.
I mean, it was painful to be on the other side of the I was going to say the commentary box then, but that's definitely not right. Have we got anything else to add, Jamie? I think
Do we think anything's going to happen this week in Formula 1? Probably not. Maybe
Mercedes
Mercedes.
could sign contracts, apparently, maybe. I mean, the fact this is going on in Dakota seems utterly insane, doesn't it? Especially after George won in Singapore.
Yeah.
It
They're
just
probably
seems
just
bizarre.
still not happy on the wages he's asking for, I'd imagine. But
Probably. Yeah, there definitely seems to be some disagreement there. But obviously, yeah, if anything gets obviously confirmed with that, obviously we'll talk about it, I'm sure, later on in the week. So it's actually ended up being a more snippet episode of Knowing Wheel for a bit of a change. Thank you all, as always, so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed, all that good stuff. Like we said, Jamie and I will be back on Friday to preview the US Grand Prix. Looking forward to that one as well. Obviously, it's a late night race, Jamie. I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, and a sprint weekend as well, because we're into sprint race season at the end of the year. But yeah, that'll do us for this one though, and we will see you all very, very soon.